Well, hello! Welcome back to my channel. Jashana here to talk about some friggin' books. Today I wanted to talk about some of my current all-time favorites. I mean, lots of people have done this, but recently I saw Bethany do this at Beautifully Bookish Bethany, and she mentioned, like, I haven't done this in a while. And I said, you know what? I don't think I have either. I don't know if I ever have. Have I? Who's to say? Not me, clearly. So I have 15 to talk about, and some of these, honestly, either I have not reread them since starting to track, so I don't know what the actual rating was, and some of them maybe were rated not 5 stars at the time, but when I just think back on them, they really stick with me, and they're stories that I really want to reread ASAP, that I'm just like itching to reread. So I'm counting those, and I have 15 total. I will try not to yammer on and on about each one in the effort of timeliness. Also, this is not necessarily in any particular order. Aside from perhaps the last 5, I would say are currently my top 5. The rest of them are just kind of on the list. And I imagine probably none of these will be terribly surprising because they're books that I talk about a fair amount. I will start with a couple of my childhood favorites that I have either reread a whole bunch of times or just when I look back and think about books I read in my younger years, these ones really stick out. One is definitely The Railway Children by E. Nesbit. I read this, not this copy, obviously. This is like a new copy that I have not read yet, but I have a nice copy that I kind of wish I hadn't read so much because it is dinged up. You pull it out and it's just this tiny little guy. Like, it's all dinged up. But I kind of like it. I don't know. Shows that I read it a bunch, you know? I haven't read it in so long, but I just remember it always feeling very cozy. Another one that is definitely an all-time favorite is the Julie of the Wolves series. There are 3 books, and I read them many times. It's about a girl who goes and lives with wolves on the tundra in Alaska, and I just wanted to be her when I was a kid. So yeah, definitely this one. This series I started rereading like in 2017 and just was very slowly going through it, and I actually have not finished rereading it. And this one wasn't necessarily my like really young childhood. I think I was in middle school when these books started coming out. Let me see. 1999. So yeah, I would have been in 7th or 8th grade, depending on when in 1999 it came out. And also the author is apparently not super great and was accused of multiple accounts of harassment, at the very least, like sexual harassment at conventions and things. But yeah, The Series of Unfortunate Events by Lemony Snicket, aka Daniel Handler. And I've read some other Daniel Handler, his adult or young adult stuff that is in his real name, and quite enjoyed it. But yeah, apparently he's not so great. I'm definitely going to keep these books because I just have such fond memories of this series from my younger years, and I love the authorial voice in them, and I probably will reread them at some point. Or I'll continue the current reread, and then I'm sure at some point in the future I would reread them again. All right, those are the 3 like childhood younger books. Moving on to the rest. Apologies if you can hear the air conditioning. It is what it is. I don't want to sweat to death, so it's gonna stay on. But yeah, these next ones are in no particular order. Obviously, I have to mention Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte, seeing as how I own, I think, 15 copies now. I'm pretty sure. And I just bought another one. It's fine, whatever. Yeah, it's a classic, and it is definitely my favorite classic that I have read thus far. I have not read nearly all the classics by any means, but yeah, I just love it. It's a hot-ass mess. These people are just hot-ass messes. It's not a fun, good time. I don't know why I like it so much. I just do. I just really do. So you all know, if you've been here for a hot minute, that I don't really love YA contemporary a whole hell of a lot usually, but one that I definitely really loved, and it's short, it's a novella, Dear Martin by Nick Stone. This one packed a punch, and it's one of the only books to ever make me like cry, full on crying. Just the writing I felt like was very poignant, to the point, addressed a lot of different issues, and yeah, just the way the story played out and everything, I thought it was, for me personally, I thought it was very well done, and it just sticks with me as one of the only books to ever make me that emotional. This is one of the only graphic novel series that I truly, truly love. I mean, again, I have not read a shit ton of graphic novel series because I tend not to connect with them a lot, and honestly, this one, I had to read the first volume twice to really grasp it because it's very confusing, and that is Monstrous by Sana Takeda and Marjorie Liu. And yeah, the first time I read it, I was like, what? I don't know what the fuck is happening, but I like it. The art style is so fucking beautiful to me. Sana Takeda is the artist, and it's just gorgeous. I mean, just stupid gorgeous, and I love it. And I named the stray kitten I took in after this character, Kippa, because she's just so cute and has her little tail and her little ears, and I felt like, and she's like a little fox girl, and I feel like this cat, Kippa, kind of looks like a little fox face. But yeah, I've kept up with it. I've read the first 5 volumes that are out currently, and I really love it. But yes, it's quite confusing if the first time you read it. There's a lot happening, and there's like a lot of moving parts, all the politicking. You're like, who's doing what and why, and in what kingdom or what region, like who's the ruler? It's a lot, but I really enjoy it. This is definitely one I need to reread to fully solidify, but from memory, what my memory serves me, I just fucking loved the romance in this, and I know not everybody does, but The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Ahdieh. Shazi is one of my favorite characters, again, from memory. Watch me reread this year and be like, fuck this, I'm unhauling it. Probably not. But yeah, I just love Shazi so much. Oh my god, I was so invested in this romance. I was so invested in these characters. Oh god, all the feels. Just all the feels. So, and I read it, I think in 2017? 2016. And the fact that it still sticks with me, that's why it is on this list. Some nonfiction. I've read various nonfiction books on these topics now. This was the first one though, so that's why it's on the list. And I've heard criticisms of it. I haven't looked super deep into all of the criticisms of it. I'm sure they're valid and whatnot, and everybody has their opinions. But it was just one of the first things I read that like explained the complexities of the various systemic issues we have in our country, systemic racism being the main one discussed here in The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander. I listened to this on audio, and I bought a physical copy because I do plan on rereading it at some point. And yeah, it just, growing up where I grew up, bunch of white people, like, that's about it. Very secluded, very much a little bubble. I always was an avid reader, so I had some level of understanding of the issues of racism in our country. It wasn't like I got out of my town and was like, there's racism? What? Like, I knew that this fucking existed, even though I grew up before the time of Twitter and the internet. I definitely had an awareness of it, but like I said, the complexities of all of it definitely did not fully understand. Like, I knew they were there, and I was like, I know there's more to this than just there's racism and like whatever. The ways in which people are kept down and oppressed and marginalized still to this day in our country. And it just helped really kind of explain all of that and bring it all full circle. So for that reason, it is on my list of favorites. All right, getting closer to the top 5, but not quite there yet. A new favorite, Ring Shout by P. Jelly Clark. This one was just one of the most surprising books I've ever read. I mean, I don't ever personally pick up books thinking I'm gonna hate this. If I think I'm gonna hate something, I just don't read it. I was hoping I would like this. I was very intrigued by it, but I wasn't totally sure because of the horror elements and just it's a novella, and I often don't really connect with novellas all that much. But it came on such good recommendations from various people. I was like, let me check it out. And my God, I loved it. I loved it so much. 30 thoroughly invested in the characters. I really hope we get more of this world in future works by P. Djeli Clark. I would love a full-length novel in this world following these characters because I feel like I know them so fucking well. And I just, oh God, really, really loved this. And yeah, definitely on my all-time fave list. So the next one, the last one before the top 5, I was debating between, I was maybe gonna put, Wrath on the list. And Wrath might be in like my top 15, 16. I don't know. I haven't decided. But Jade War, also, I was kind of like, I don't know. But Jade War made me full on cry. So I had to go with Jade War. Wrath didn't make me, it made me emotional. It did make me tear up a couple times. And it made me like yell at the book a couple times. But Jade War, oh God, I was like screaming at the book. My heart was racing. And yeah, I full on cried at a certain point. And sometimes was crying from like pure relief. Like the tension had been built up. And I was like, oh my God, is this gonna happen? And then when the bad thing didn't happen, I was just like, oh my God, and like crying. Like, what the fuck? I don't do that very often. So because I got such a visceral reaction, this one had to be on the list. All right, this top 5, I'm trying to put it in my head in an actual order. I think I can. And this might be surprising. Number 5, I think I have to say House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. Love this book. Thoroughly loved it. You guys all know. It's just the most precious goddamn thing ever in the history of ever. I love it so much. And I did, I read it from the library first, so I don't have it tabbed. I'm gonna reread it though, and I'm gonna tab it up, but I did save quite a few quotes from it, and I did tab it up a fair amount. But it's not higher on the list. You'll see. I mean, it's high on the list. Most of these top 5, they're kind of like tied, but I would put this one at 5. It just made me so fucking happy. And then number 4, I will go with I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson. This one is higher than House in the Cerulean Sea simply because I have so fucking many quotes to save from this book. I mean, just so many different things. The authorial voice here is so perfect for me. Oh my God, I love Jandy Nelson's writing, and of course, she has only published like 2 books, and I need more. Just like, please, Jandy Nelson, write another book for the love of God, please. Oh, I would be so fucking happy. I might cry if she ever publishes another book, honestly. Because, yeah, just so great. Made me very emotional as well. But, yeah, it's slightly higher simply because the authorial voice is a little bit better. More my cup of tea. And number 3 is kind of this whole series, honestly. But my highest rated book from the series was this one in particular. Crown of Midnight, the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. I have to pick this one just because when I was getting back into reading after college, I had started and I read the Sookie Stackhouse series that got me into fantasy a bit more. And then I read this randomly, and this was before being on BookTube or anything, years before. And I was fucking hooked immediately with the first book. I was completely hooked, which most people I feel say they didn't really get hooked until like book 3 or 4. I was hooked immediately. I just thought it was so much fun. And Crown of Midnight, simply for the ending, which I know is quite polarizing. Some people straight up hate the ending of this. I loved it. It's one of the most jarring endings of a book I've ever read personally that just like left me mouth on the, like jaw dropped, mouth completely open, just like, what? I did not see it coming in the fucking slightest. And when I reread it, I was like, Jashana, how did you not see this plot twist? But I think she hit it pretty well. I've seen a lot of other people say the same thing, that they didn't see it coming. Some people did, I'm sure, but I did not. I was not one of those people. And yeah, just because of that ending that left me like, what the fuck? I had to pick this one as my favorite, but honestly, the whole series is just one of my favorite series. The only book I don't like from the series is Tower of Dawn. It's the only one that I will not reread whenever I do reread the series. And that is why I did not buy a paperback version of it. So do we know what my number 2 and my number 1 are gonna be? I would, if right now, if you're still watching, put in a comment what you think my number 2 and my number 1 are gonna be. And let's see if you were right. Number 2 is going to be The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. And again, it's kind of the whole series. I love all 3 of the books. I do not hate Mockingjay as a lot of people do. I quite enjoyed that as well. I think Catching Fire was still my favorite. It is most people's favorite. But I really liked the first book also. And just for like longevity of it being my favorite is why this one is number 2. Because I was fucking obsessed when I first read it. I read the whole trilogy in like 2.5 days. Wouldn't shut the fuck up about it. Got all my friends to read it. They were obsessed. Waited to move to Arizona an extra week so that I could go to the premiere of the first movie with my 2 best friends from Michigan. I was like, it's the Hunger Games. I have to see it with them. Because I didn't know anybody out here and I didn't want to be like going to see it by myself. So just love it. And I've reread it a couple times since then. And upon every reread, I still really enjoy it. It has held up over time. So that's why it is number 2. So that means number 1 is probably, to not very many people's surprise, City of Girls by Elizabeth Gilbert. I am predictable as fuck. This one is just, it's my shit. I mean, just like I'll Give You the Sun, there are so many quotes to save. It's the same kind of authorial voice vibe that I just love. The sense of humor is fucking perfection for me. I just love so much about it. And the main character, Vivian Morris, I'm very different from this main character in a lot of ways, but in a lot of ways, I also feel very much a kinship with her, particularly as she is older in her later years in life. And I've read it 3 times, and I will probably reread this book once a year until I die, most likely, because I just can't even describe how much joy it brings me every time I reread it. I just want to be reading it always, forever, until I die. Like, just constantly. I imagine that didn't shock very many people. So there we are. Those are my current top 15 favorite books or series that I've read thus far in my life. As always, thank you so much for your time. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.